Okay, welcome again ladies to the spring course. We're on class number 2 and today we're going to make a long low arrangement suitable for a dining table, a low coffee table or a mantelpiece. If you've got a nice wide mantelpiece, these look rather nice on them. So first of all, we've got a black tray that holds a brick of Oasis perfectly. So I've pre-soaked my Oasis. You're all going to soak your own when it comes to having a go. And I'm just going to place it in there. Then I'm just going to use pot tape to secure the Oasis so it doesn't move about too much. So taking it over the bottom and making sure it's actually stuck on the dish, so just sort of rub your finger over it to make sure that adhesive's stuck. Can you see that circle, that indentation? I don't want to cover that with tape. I'm going to show you something at the end that we're going to do with that. So you will make your indentation with your jar like so. Just make an impression so you know that that space is to be left clear. And then bring your tape to the top of the Oasis and underneath again. And same, just so you see it's stuck on nicely on the bottom. So we can make these quite wild or we can make them neat. It's entirely up to yourselves which way you want to go. Bear in mind when you get them home where you're going to put them, and then think of the space that that's going to take. If you've got lots of space, go crazy. If you want a nice neat structured arrangement for a smaller table or a smaller area, keep it tight. So the flowers we're using today, everything's coming fresh this morning. We've got these lovely mini narcissi called Cheerfulness. They're, as I say, really tight, but daffodils don't take long to open, so that won't be a problem. We're using those last. We've got some Aladdin tulips, which are actually, they were cut this morning and they're growing. Like we said last week when we used the tulips, they just carry on growing. So like you can cut them lower if you want them to grow into the space that you originally planned, or if you're happy to leave them, let them go free and wild. Mini gerbera, this variety is called Kimsey, this pale pink one, and we actually need to give them a bit of a help by wiring them before we put them into the Oasis. And this I love, it's called Eryngium, it's a thistle head. It's a very hard, tough one, and I just thought the blue with the pink and the pastel shades worked really well. It's a nice colour palette there. And another favourite of mine, Pussy Willow. I just love to feel Pussy Willow, the texture of it, it's gorgeous, and it just shouts spring to me. Then in the foliages, we've got some lovely trailing English ivy and salal, which is a nice round tough leathery leaf, but it's more like a limey colour compared to the ivy, and it's a different shape. And then we've got another one of my favourites is flat moss. So this is going to cover a lot of the Oasis for us, so we don't have to block in too much with the foliages. And this is going to be sort of like almost a woodland type arrangement. So you can imagine you're walking through the woods and there's moss rambling over the bark of the tree, and we have the pussy willow and we have the trailing ivy, and you've got a picture in your mind, haven't you, of being in the forest. I can tell. So first things, I was naughty about what have I omitted? Chamfer in the edges. So it's okay because we can just take the tape away. I deliberately made this mistake so I can show you how to rectify it instantly. So by chamfering the edges, it makes the arrangement flow better, so we're not having to deal with any sort of angles that we wouldn't find naturally in nature. So we just take off that edge, so slicing it away. Same on the four sides. and that straight away is going to help us when we're coming to arrange the flowers in place. Take my tape back and just make sure that's sticky on the bottom. Okay, still not covering my circle here. Right, speaking of which, I'm going to get the sharp knife and I'm going to cut out the circle and scoop away. I'll give you a couple of spoons when you're going to do this, and we'll just use it like an ice cream scoop, and we'll take away, not all of it, just so that we can sit the jar in place in there. And don't worry about covering in there at this moment either, till after the end. So we need to secure the moss to the oasis. So for that, what we need to do is another tool of the trade, wire cutters. If we cut these wires with our scissors, they will be blunt instantly and we'll struggle with them. So we need to get our length of wire, cut like so. Okay, and then just make like a little U, like a hairpin almost. And do that with a handful of those. And then where we want the moss to go, don't hold it at the top. We don't want to see this dish. We want to hide it, because this is a piece of wood that we've just brought back, remember. Okay, so pin it into place either side, and then another handful of this gorgeous moss in place like so. Then I can turn it around on the Lazy Susan, which is great for showing you, and just tease it open so it's going to naturally nestle around the oasis, and pin it in again. We have a lot of people who like more natural arrangements, that they do look like a piece of garden or a piece of woodland. It's particularly one of my favourites as well, this kind of design. Okay, so we've basically covered the four sides straight away. We don't need those just yet. So we're going to go, I'll leave the salal to one side for a minute, and I'm going to get my trails of ivy in so that we've got the length sort of from tip to tip. Now we can still work through the moss, but we've also got pieces that are not tied together too much. We can open them and place your ivy, cut on the slant, and a good inch of stem. That's a bit kinked there, so I'm going to cut it again and make sure there's plenty in there and it's not going to come loose. And I'm going to do some the other side as well. So, and then if there's not some with no leaves, you can cut that if you want them to just have leaves, or you can have the tendrils kept on if you want to include them, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to have another nice length here. So that's basically about the length that I want this arrangement to be. Then separate your flowers and think about what's next. My advice would be to keep your eryngium and your pussy willow to do later. We're going to actually use the daffodils in the jar later. Another little trick to show you. So that's leaving me with the softer stems. Gerbras support wiring. It's not easy, but it does go a long way to help them. last and stay in place. So what we want to do at this stage is at the bottom of your head, loosely wrap the wire around the neck and then twist low down the stem. So I'll do that 3 times to show you, and I will help you. That's what it's all about. I'll come round if you're struggling with this, because we do it day in, day out. Gerbras are a little bit tendency to sort of go a bit droopy, so we give them a special flower food, which is a tablet in fresh water, not the clicky flower water, just tap water with the tablet, and it gives them a boost. It's like Viagra for Gerbera. Okay, but then we also do this.
Do you actually stick that into the flower?
No.
No, you just wrap it around. Okay.
It was discovered when I was first training, we did.
Yeah.
And then when I went back for my advanced level, they were like, oh, no, we don't do that anymore, because it creates bacteria. It's like a cut in your arm, and it weeps, and it needs all of that. So it is just to give it support. Yeah. So they're the 3 Gerbras wired ready. And then we've got the lovely tulips. Now, because the tulips are a soft stem, my recommendation would be, with the end of the stem you're discarding, pierce the oasis first and then push your tulip in. That's making a hole ready for it, and it's not squashing the cells on the stem, which is most important. Okay, and then because this is bowing down, I'm going to have it coming over and maybe flowing with that piece of ivy. That's kind of like telling me, oh, that would look nice. This is all about your eye, telling you, oh, I quite like it to go here. I'm quite fancying mine to come this way. So again, cut on the slant. Also, if it's quite bulky at the bottom, take away that leaf, because that's going to cause it to rock around and block the pores there. So in the space just here, create your hole ready, and then into the oasis it goes. We can't really use these because they're not going to last long, so I'm just going to get rid of those. Okay. So then I'm going to have some coming off this side and keeping them quite long again. So turn that around so you can see. Piercing your oasis. And then there we go. Okay, I'm just going to have one low in here. I mean, you could even place these in place and think, well, see in your eye where you want them, and make the stems, put them into place so you can see, well, actually that's creating a nice line that's going to go through this design, so it's a quite kind of a flow. If you want them grouping together, have them all at one side, that's fine, it's entirely up to you. This is going to make your eye see before you've actually put them in where I'm happily placing them. So, in there like so, and over this side as well. Okay, so I'm happy with the line of tulips here. Next I'm going to go for the Gerbera, and I'm going to have these in like a grouped effect. Now, bearing in mind there's going to be a group of something here, so I'm going to come over to this side and maybe one this side. So I'm going to decide to have 2 here and 1 here, and that way when you look all over the arrangement there's something of interest in each area. Cutting on the slant again. Okay. A bit lower, I'd say. In there like so. then I said 2 on this side, didn't I? So I'm going to create that hole there on that side. Okay, so we've almost got a line of gerbera going over the design, cutting through, as well as a line going through the design here. Get rid of anything we don't need. And with the ivy leaves, start thinking about covering some oasis and making it look like it's all growing throughout as well. We've also got our salal leaves, which are nice and left in a group. If there's anything that's marked, just take it away. And I'm just putting little cuts and coming out and over. So I'll just hold that up and you can see it's starting to take shape quite nicely. Okay. Again, this is still to be left, our little hole in there. We can always get more moss at the end if we need to, so don't worry too much about filling in all the gaps here. Now, a little thing I thought I'd just add for this design is putting a jar into the arrangement. So push it down a bit more. Good old kebab stick. Cut in half. Pot tape again. So with your length of pot tape, you're securing the kebab sticks so that this is acting like prongs for you to place into the oasis. Okay, so I'm going to need 3 of these. Okay. Just put that there like that, and then put another piece of pot tape so we've got 3. Now you could, if you wanted to, dress your jar up with some ribbons or raffia, but I quite like it natural because it's in the woods. Now you can see that's going to be too high, so we just need to cut them down to size a bit more. Quite nice sharp cuts on the front, and then back into the hole we created earlier, and that's going to hold that into place. Then yeah, a third of the way, so you can keep an eye on your level on your water, and then with your daffodils, hold them up and see what height you're happy to have them, and just cut them and then pop them in, and they're growing like a sweep of daffodils grown in the wild, in the drift of the woods, don't forget. Then in the kebab sticks, any showing, let's just cover that with a bit of moss and a leaf, and the same on this side. And any loose leaves like that, don't throw away, because they will fill a space somewhere in there. Okay, so our last flowers, I'm gonna, I think we'll do the pussy willow next because it's nice and long, and I'm going to actually make 2 pieces out of 1 stem. You can have it high or you can have it low. I actually like to have it high. you can have it as a single piece, or you can make it do more work if you want. That's up to you. So that's kind of working, and that also, when our tulips grow, if that's growing a little bit more, you can kind of support it with the pussy willow, like we did the birch last week in the hand tides. That was acting like a bit of a scaffolding, wasn't it, for them? Then our eryngium, it's a lovely branch, and I'm cutting the stems as long as you can, so as close as you can to the main stem, because then you've got the options of having them. I'm going to have a nice one sort of nestled in there, but then these can come out longer. And through the design, cut on the slant, make sure there's a good inch in the oasis there so it's not going to come loose. And I think we'll have the last one in here, so you can tease your moss open and pierce it through. Now there's just a few gaps on the top which need filling in. So I'm going to use up the greenery I've got first, and then if we need, we can have more moss. So just where there's a bigger space, use your salal. All filling in. Okay. And then these little ivy leaves are perfect to just come dotted through. Okay. And then if you want a little bit more moss, there's plenty here. So we need...
Is that moss, will it keep growing?
It actually sprouts. I've actually top dressed a plant with this, and it sprouted some fine, I don't know what it was, but it is fresh, it's grown, but this is dried for the flower arranging purposes. Because if you were to get sphagnum moss, which is a different type of moss which we use for binding wreaths with, or dressing hanging baskets with, it's wet and it doesn't sort of hold in place, it shreds very easily, where this is dried especially. Yeah, there's loads of different types of mosses. I love moss. Yeah, so don't forget we've got to make our little hairpins so that our moss is still going to stay in place. So just where you see a little gap, just get your moss, put your hairpin in and just push it into place. It's that easy. Okay. And there you've got your spring table arrangement. Okay? Happy to have a go?
That's mine done, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. Well done. It's beautiful. Right, so do you want to come through? I'll